I won't say who, but I spoke to someone, an ex-Man United guy last night, and there's obviously two sides to the story here. First of all, let's just touch on what he's saying about the kids, not just at United, about football. Is he basically saying there's too much money around now that young players think they've made it when they're nowhere near halfway up the ladder?
Yeah, I think it's just society in general, Alan. That we know when I was when we started having kids, we wanted our kids to have what we didn't have.
Yeah,
and we wanted them to have a phone, we wanted them to have a computer, we want them to do and now they sat at the television playing games all night, and so it's our own fault. We wanted them to have these things, and then they get the value. They don't have the values about, I mean, when we were kids, we used to put take our jumpers off and make goalposts and play till it went dark. There's none of that now. It's all cushy and luxury, and you do lose that hunger as a youngster now because you've got everything. And I see what he means in that respect. But I mean, that's society in general, and I've found that over the years.
But this guy, Danny and Gab, I'm sure you'll agree. This guy, he's probably, well, if he's not the best, he's one of the best we've ever seen. He's looked after his body, but he's had to work at it as well. And I think he feels that the young players now don't work hard enough to achieve the 100% possibility of the best ability they can get out of the bodies. I think he got it out of his, and he believes they're not doing half as much as what they should.
I think that's what sets the great from the good, though, Alan, isn't it? And you'd have seen that in your time. I'm sure Neil experienced that with players. A lot of these players have a fantastic amount of ability, but it's who's prepared to make the most sacrifices, who's prepared to work the hardest, who's prepared to be the most dedicated.
Yeah,
I think that's life in general at the moment, as Neil just sort of intimated towards. Life is completely different now. Kids have a lot more than they ever used to. Society is completely different. From what I've seen so far from the interview, apart from the snippets, the actual watching the interview last night, I was a little bit disappointed. If I'm honest. It's I don't know how you feel, Neil, but it's unbelievably contrived, isn't it? It reminds me of Harry, Meghan, and Oprah Winfrey. There's no hard hitting questions.
No.
I mean, tonight is Piers going to ask him, why did you refuse to play for Manchester United?
Why did you walk off?
I can't see that question coming. What he said last night, there was nothing really in there, Neil, was there, that was particularly spiky, unless it comes tonight.
Danny, from day one, from me being told about it and then listening to it last night, nothing's changed my mind. He decided that the best way to get a free transfer from Man United is to do it just before he goes to World Cup. He's got a month away, so he's not got any flack over there.
Yeah.
He's with his team. And when he comes back, he'll get a free transfer. Now, what he's forgot is, if they sack him, then they keep his registration. So, all right, if they sack him, they keep his registration and another club comes in for him, they still have to buy him. They still have to get his money. So, if they do sack him, which I think the possibility, then he's not going to get a free transfer. And I think he just done it to get a free, to think that they'll give me a free.
How would you have responded, Neil, if this was you, if you was Ten Hag and this happened? One of your players done it,
I'd be absolutely delighted if I were Ten Hag, me.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely delighted, because he's done it all for him now. Because it's hard for Ten Hag to get rid of Ronaldo. He should have done it in the summer, really. But it was difficult, because Ronaldo's Ronaldo. But now Ten Hag's got no reason to play him again, and he's got a way out, and now he can move on. Because, listen, if Ronaldo didn't know that Man United was in a worse state than when he was here, then there's something wrong, because anybody could tell him it's going to take 3 or 4 years, transfer windows, to get them anywhere near where they were. That's why Alex got out when he did.
To be fair to Ronaldo, though, Neil, last year, what was it? 37 games, 24 goals. You can't point the finger at him about the demise of United, can we?
Do you know, let me go back. When I was at Gainsborough and at Burton Albion, and 2 years ago, right, we had a striker called Bob Gordon. Big lad, big physical like you, and he was scoring goals. And we played a game one day, and he scored a hat-trick, Alan, and we lost 4-3. He was absolutely chuffed to death.
Really?
He was chuffed to death, and we lost 4-3. But he got hat-trick, and he was, and that's how I see Ronaldo. Really, his goals are good. He's a great player, but he's not going to be in that trenches when you need him. I mean, my bloody podcast, I call it "Die for 3 points," and I just can't see that being in him. He'll score goals, But I just think the club will be far better moving on now and getting a grip with what they need. Really, they need some players of quality that hopefully Ten Hag can bring in and get them back to where they were.
Jason Cundy made a great point last night on the sports bar. He wasn't doing this at the end of last season when he was playing, when he was scoring goals. Suddenly now he's not in the team and he can't, and he's maybe a bit concerned that Messi's going to overtake his record. Suddenly now he wants out and he's starting to cause problems. And all this nonsense that the club's in a different place, having a go at the chefs, the stadium, that's all absolutely irrelevant. That's got... My question, that would be, did he not do his due diligence? He looked at Manchester City. He looked at how amazing their facilities was. He knew what Manchester United were all about. He knew what Carrington was all about. And now I think it's quite personal when he's saying, that the chefs haven't moved on. He's got his own personal chefs. He looks after his body. What's that got to do with anything? He's digging out people that have got no voice. And that's what I don't like. I think it is completely unnecessary.
I totally agree on that, Danny.
Neil, I don't know if you know this. Before you go, Neil, Gabby has caused a storm on Twitter.
You love it, don't you?
With Inter Miami manager Phil Neville about David Beckham's attitudes on international duty. Gabby has given me, get some points on the board for your MLS team. He really has. But Phil's come back again at him. He has just tweeted a reply to Gabby's latest comments with an imagery of 3 caps. Now, that's out of order, Gabby. That is hitting you below the belt. Just 3 caps.
Everybody, Alan, didn't they, in the dressing rooms, can you remember when somebody had to go at somebody? You always used to get the lads saying, well, how many caps? Get your caps on the table.
Yeah.
How many times have you played for England? How many times have you played for so-and-so? But listen, it's all gone now. I'm looking forward to the World Cup, Alan. I'm doing 2 more shows I'm at Middlesbrough tomorrow and Scarborough on Saturday.
Oh yeah, on your tours, are going well?
Yeah, and I'm right enjoying it, and I'm enjoying doing these podcasts, this Die for 3 Points thing, which I've really enjoyed. I'm going to get you on that, Alan.
Yeah. I don't
know about Gabby because it might have to be censored. I'll definitely get you and Ali on.
Neil, 148 for 1, but I think the game's gone now. Heavy odds on the Souness.
Absolutely. They're just battering us, aren't they? But let's be fair. They did so well. I mean, that T20 game, I thought it was fantastic the other day. And you're not telling me they haven't had a few nights, they haven't had a few drinks and whatever. I don't think they'd be overly bothered about this. I think they'll be glad to get out of the way.
Neil, I've got to break, but I must ask you this: Wales have put their training back to 4:30. England still train at 12:30. What's the reasoning behind? Why would you want to train in the heat at 12:30?
Well, unless I honestly don't know kick-off times and all that. But I think it was Danny that mentioned, or Gabby mentioned earlier. They'll have done all the planning. They do everything now. They tell you when to go to the toilet nowadays, don't they? They've got everything planned. And for me, it's how they play at football, really. Whether they train midnight or first thing in the morning, I'm just looking forward to it. And hopefully, I mean, Wales, Rob Page. I've been speaking to Rob for the last few months, and he's really looking forward to it. And I think Wales, it's a great story, When last time they were in World Cup, I were in short trousers, Alan.
John Charles, was it?
Before you were born, wasn't it? 1958.
They've got to beat USA. If they beat them, bingo, it's going to be great. Neil, I've got to break. Listen, good luck.
Lads.
Thank you, pal. Neil.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.